President Joe Biden announced that he would end his run for the presidency due to concerns about his age and cognitive decline. He also endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris to be the Democrats' nominee. But have Democratic primary voters been disenfranchised? Here with analysis, I'm joined by Democratic political strategist and CNN contributor James Carville. James, thanks for being here. You were one of the chief voices, my friend, urging Biden to leave this race after that disastrous debate performance. Are you pleased with the outcome? And is Kamala Harris the best person to go up against Trump?
So, all right, let's back it up. I was urging President Biden not to run for re-election well over a year ago. It's been documented. Rob Ryan and I, being public back in March of this year, but I was on this way before. And Raymond, I'll just explain. My thinking is I'm going to be 80 in October, so I'm familiar with what old age does to one. And I have, unlike most people, I do have some idea of what the job entails. It's very distant. And I never thought the two were compatible. And I thought it was a defect that couldn't be cured. And it took a long time to get there, but to President Biden's credit, that he got there, and I think that's the important thing.
Well, what about Kamala Harris as the person? Is she the person you would have foreseen as the person to defend your party against Trump?
It's who we got. And from what I've seen so far, I'm actually pretty encouraged. And I base that more, of course, I would hope that, because I am a Democrat, but I've been hearing from a lot of people that she really has gotten more confident, has, become more assertive, got out her sea legs, got her feet better. So I'm actually think she might be a lot better than any of us thought earlier, but it's what we got. I mean, it's not like I would have liked to have had a more open process, but there was no way that was going to happen. And this is where we are.
I mean, within 24 hours, Kamala Harris had the sufficient delegates to lock up this nomination. There were $100 million coming in. Is that a threat to democracy and a slap in the face to the 14 million Democratic primary voters who selected Biden?
Name me one unhappy Democratic primary vote. Name me one. This is, Raymond, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That you think that Democrats, that there's somebody said, gee, I feel unheard. I voted for President Biden in the Indiana primary, and now they're going with Vice President Harris. I mean, come on.
James, there was a donor just the other night who had pledged millions of dollars, who said, I'm not giving to this because he doesn't like the process. He clearly wanted somebody else, doesn't think Kamala Harris is up to the job.
I know more Democratic donors than most anybody. And there was an entire donor boycott. They can't count the money coming in. They had 808,000 new contributions. 60% were first-time donors. People are announcing, I saw Reed Hastings, who's a friend of mine, like $7.5 million. So if you can find one donor that feels kind of left out of it, so what? Who cares? I've not seen a Democrat or heard Democrat says, I feel disrespected and disenfranchised.
BLM, clearly a big part of this party. They're saying it's turned the party into a party of hypocrites.
Who says BLM is any big part of the Democratic Party? I've been a Democrat all my life. They have, how many BLM delegates are they? I mean, there's this whole mythology that Republicans have of who Democrats are. And y'all want to live in your mythical world. I can't take you out of it. You've been in it for a long time. But I can assure you there's no Democrats that feel disenfranchised by this. And you might be able to find one donor, one person, but I tell you, 98% are totally on board.
Were you concerned at all about the reports we're now reading that there were Democratic Party officials who threatened to remove Biden from office if he refused to leave?
Well, let me see what they are. But obviously, I don't have any problem that he was having. He was struggling, but I've talked to 10 different people that would call me and say, James, I was with the president, and he seemed totally, kind of with it. He's a little slow. He's, can't walk very well. He's old, and I I don't know about any of this, and I'm sure that, desperate Republicans are going to try to make as big an issue as they can. I don't blame them. And I'm sure that she's going to have to answer it. And that's part of politics. I can't protect her from that.
Yeah. James, the problem that could have been avoided with any other Democratic candidate is that Harris is part of whatever Joe Biden did, the inflation, the border crisis, crime. She's surely going to be attached to his record.
Let me ask you a question. You mentioned crime.
Okay.
What's happened to crime since Donald Trump left office? Answer my question.
James, I will. I'll tell you what happened in our hometown, in New Orleans, just the other day. An illegal immigrant came in and just shot 2 people. This is overnight.
What has happened to the crime rate since Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have taken over? I know what's happened. It's dropped. Well, it's dropped by a lot. So, you can tell me there was one guy killed here, and I'm sure there was.
I know, but it's who's the perpetrator here, and that's tied to the policy as well, is it not? And might a different Democrat have sort of cleaned the slate and given Democrats a clean start?
If ifs and buts was beers and nuts, we'd all have a hell of a party. This is the candidate we got. By the way, she's never been accused by 26 different women of sexual impropriety. All right, you ought to pay attention to that. And if you're saying, is this the perfect Democrat? Maybe not. But I tell you what, it's the one we got, and it's the one we're happy with, and it's the one we're satisfied with.
Oh, James, I watch you very closely. I listen to you closely. And one of your critiques of the Democratic Party is the language used. And you've said there are too many preachy females in Democratic circles, and it's alienating male voters. I want to play this. And this is you and Capehart.
If you think about Democratic messaging, listen to NPR. Read what comes out of there, all right? And you can see it. And I'm sorry, there are too many preachy females in Democratic campaign culture, all right? And we come across to people as judgmental. And that's not good at all.
James Carville, how does the appointment of Kamala Harris do anything to remedy that perception?
Well, first of all, I don't think she's all that preachy, to tell you the truth. But a little bit I know about her. I don't know her very well. She was a skilled prosecutor, was a consumer-oriented attorney general, was a United States senator, spent 4 years as vice president. I don't know if there's been a vice president more qualified than she is, and I don't know if there's been a non-incumbent president more qualified than Vice President Harris is.
But James, she's also the woman who used her pulpit to say we should outlaw straws, and she's against fracking, and she did nothing on the border.
I did a whole YouTube video. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Jason Miller and Sean Hannity, their initial reaction is she said something about banning plastic straws. Why do I care? I have freedom if I suck through a paper straw. I really don't care. Let me be very clear.
I know, but that's the preachy. But there again, that's encroaching in your life, which I thought was the heart of your argument. You didn't want people conscripting your life.
So, Raymond, I don't view that as being preachy at all. I view Jason Miller and Sean Hannity's argument as being stupid on its face. And I did an entire YouTube video where I was taste testing a Beetle root beer through a plastic straw and a paper straw. And my conclusion was I couldn't taste any difference. But I did it. I did it just to satisfy the curiosity about straws, because straws are going to be what we're going to talk about.
I'm going to go look that up the minute the show is finished, James. And we'll do our own taste test next time we go to dinner. But here's my question.
Absolutely.
Does Kamala Harris owe the American people an explanation as to why she watched Joe Biden's decline and said nothing? In fact, she said the opposite. She said he's perfectly fine, he's vigorous, he's the most competent president I've ever seen.
Well, that assumes we know what she watched. And she's going to be asked the question. I fully expect that question to be asked for her, and I fully expect her to answer it. But I can't answer it for her. But I think that's going to come up. I think she's going to be asked a question. And why don't of course, Trump is trying to get out of the debates, but maybe he can ask her himself.
Yeah, no, he said he's open to debates.
Out of his mouth. If he can get ahead of the 26 women that they're going to bring to the debate, as I'm sure they're going to do, that incredibly accuse him of sexual assault. But at any rate, yeah, ask it. Absolutely, you have every right to ask it. I'm all for it.
But James, I've been hearing that, Kamala Harris mentioned that the other day. So did Joe Biden, bringing up, the personal proclivities of the former president. Is that the path we should be walking down now? Because my fear is now we're going to open up Kamala Harris's peccadillos from her past, which, if you read Willie Brown, that's not exactly, Mother Teresa's memoirs either.
So what's the charge? I know Willie. He's a friend of mine. No one else knows who Willie Brown is. But of course, in the right-wing mind, how could a woman get anywhere if she didn't sleep her way up to the top? I think the whole thing, I don't know who she dated, nor do I care who she dated.
Well, I don't either.
In a very happy mess.
But I know, but leading with that, though, James, you're inserting that into the debate.
I'm urging y'all to bring it up, and I'm urging Trump to ask her about it at the debate. Please do, sir. You're going to get your head handed to you. That's what I think.
Okay.
But yeah, that's fine. But talk about Willie Brown and anything else?
I don't want to talk about any of it.
I think you ought to have this argument. 26 women versus Willie Brown. Good. Okay.
Okay. James, but you were the man who famously coined the phrase, "It's the economy, stupid." Now, I have seen the numbers on inflation cooling, but you and I know people are not feeling it. In addition, they're already in hock. They're raiding retirement accounts. They're taking out loans. Doesn't that damage Kamala Harris moving forward? The economic landscape that we're in at the moment.
Well, I don't know if 15.7 million jobs. I don't know. I don't know, but that's a very legitimate thing to bring up. I just bet you that she's got pretty good answer on it. And, the truth of the matter is, if somebody can show me how the first 3 years of Trump were any better than the last 3 years of Obama, I'd fall out of this chair because there's no chance you're going to be able to do it. And unlike Trump, Biden inherited a disastrous economy. So I think she's entitled to make that point. I expect her to make that point.
Harris dropped out before Iowa in her own presidential run, and polls are now showing she's still 10 points down against Trump among independents. Now, there is no doubt that she's going to get a bump here, but does it concern you that she's never run a real national race on her own?
Well, apparently Democrats are not too concerned about it because we're going to nominate her, and we're going to nominate her with great enthusiasm. And we'll just let all the commentators on the right wing eat our dust. We're moving on. This train is leaving the station. America's got a new choice. A new generation of leaders are on the cusp and about to take power. And I think most people are excited about it. That's my view. But of course, we can bring all this up and debate it.
Well, James, one of the many issues that will surely be front and center in this election is abortion. The vice president mentioned it when she spoke to the college sorority she addressed just the other day. Now, how did we go, James, from safe, legal, and rare under Clinton to an abortion clinic on every block, and you should get all the abortion pills you need without restriction?
I have no idea who's for abortion without restrictions or who's abortion clinic on every block. I think Roe, which Democrats overwhelmingly support, had different guidelines based on the trimester. And by the way, just so you know, the Democrats have not lost an election since Dobbs. So people are voting on it. They just are. And, I see when people say, well, Democrats are for abortion after birth, or I don't know, what goes on in crazy right-wing fever swamp. But it's pretty clear that the public does not like the Dobbs decision at all. And, but Trump can stand up and tell the people how pro-life he is. How's he going to vote on that Florida referendum, Raymond, which is up, by the way, in his home state in November, and you have the pro-life dream, you have a 6-week ban. Is Trump going to vote for that or against it? Where do you think he's coming down on that?
Well, he said he's going to let the voters decide, that he won't sign.
He's going to let he's not going to vote, but he's a voter. He's a voter in Florida, right?
Well, you can call him and ask him, Melania, how they're going to vote.
He's actually a voter in Florida. I'm curious. He's going to be asked, how are you going to vote on it?
Yeah. Where do you think this ends up?
Okay.
I want to close it. How do you think this ends? Do you think Kamala Harris mounts this unexpected insurgency and takes Donald Trump out? Or do you think the tea leaves are moving in a different direction?
I love talking to you when you come to New Orleans. Let's continue this discussion over at Herb Saint or something over dinner. But
you got it.
You know, we got time to bring this up. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right, my friend. Talk to you soon.